those issues, along with the production studio interference, and also the tone being very weird, and since this movie is cut, it doesn't explain everything from the source. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Epitasis Joshua. If you're a returning player or if you're new here, I talk movies, TV, music, and on a few occasions anime. My name is Joshua Drake, and with the release of Dune Part 2 on physical media, I was set to do this ranking after I reviewed Dune Part 2. I promised it weekends ago, but time got caught up for me and I never really got the chance to do it until now. And I'm on a little bit of a Dune kick here. I want to do this ranking. So we have 5 adaptations of Dune, or 3 if you choose to count the mini-series from 2000, the 80s one, and the newer ones. So we're going to stop and rank all 5 Dune adaptations from my least favorite to my favorites. If you are a fan of the Dune movies, you can check out my playlist of the Dune reviews. I will put it in the description box, and also there will be a little link to it up there as well as the end of the video. And I hope you enjoyed this ranking. Let's have a fun, epitastic, civilized conversation. Some of us are not going to agree on this. Some of us will agree on how this ranking is going to go. But my goal here is to give my personal ranking and give my thoughts on this incredible world that was created by Frank Herbert. If you're not happy with the ranking or placements, please do not get angry. Just respectfully disagree with me in the comments. 2, I am judging these as film adaptations. I'm not looking at these as someone who has read the book. So something from the book, such you may not have liked being in either one of these versions, or they took out. I'm judging this as film adaptations, not as book adaptations. So with that being said, we're going to stop and rank all 5 Dune movies from the worst to the best. Easily coming at the bottom of the barrel is going to be the original 1984 classic, cult classic by David Lynch. I know this has its fan base. You either love it or you hate it, or you're in the middle with this. Some people actually say this is better than the Villeneuve one. Some say this is a guilty pleasure. Some say this is entertaining enough. I can see the fact that this is competently made despite the studio interference. I can see the fact that this does have some great talent in here, like Patrick Stewart, Francesca Annis, Kyle MacLachlan in his first film debut, and Sean Young and Linda Hunt and Alicia Witt and Brad Dourif and even Virginia Madsen and Sting. I can realize that this movie has some good cinematography here. I like David Lynch's direction despite it getting way too weird at times. And it does have a nice score by Toto. When I first watched this, I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine, but it was not the best. But now, having seen parts 1 and parts 2 of Denis Villeneuve's take, I come back to this movie, and this is just a massive frustrator and a big disappointment, because it does have great effects. It has nice camera work. There's good things in this movie I can admire. The problems with this movie is the version of Frank Herbert's novel, and I know he probably enjoyed this, story feels heavily truncated. It feels like there's a lot of elements in the story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even when you have the whole studio interference thing. When it comes to this, you have a very over-the-top villain with a very over-the-top performance that is just not very conventional at all in terms of this movie for me personally. There is a ridiculously unnecessary use of rock music in the soundtrack, and I'm somebody who doesn't mind rock. The dialogue is very stilted and cliched, and you see some major production faults that definitely shows throughout the film. You could tell that David Lynch was trying to do his thing, and then Dino De Laurentiis kind of just came in and studio interfered and mandated this movie down to its essence, and it just does not feel like a fully complete movie. I know my friend enjoys this. I know some people do enjoy it, but those issues, along with the production, studio interference, and also the tone being very weird. Since this movie is cut, it doesn't explain everything from the source material here. Therefore, it makes it the worst Dune movie. I know some of y'all enjoy this. I know some of you kind of like it. I know there's an extended TV version, and I would be so fascinated to find a documentary on the making of this movie to see what went wrong. Whether it's in the Blu-ray from Australia or wherever, I would be fascinated to watch that. And I would be curious to see if the extended TV version does make this a little bit better. But until then, this is, for me, the worst film of the entire Dune series. It's not one of the worst movies of all time. I just find this to be a highly frustrating, disappointing sci-fi effort, and a disappointing effort from David Lynch. Coming in fourth place, a huge dip in quality, is Children of Dune. Again, I've never read these books, but I will say this second part of the story of this sci-fi miniseries, you definitely see the limitations here when it comes to it. It's some of the budget and some of the effects wise. But I will say, I think they actually really took the time and tried to make the best thing possible. Again, it's not amazing. It's not something I'm going to just say, you should all see this right now. But I will say this one, they do the best they can here. It is an enjoyable production here, I will say. And they do have a lot more of philosophical descriptions and monologues that accompany the moments of the plot, and makes it interesting here. And even as a casual Dune fan who's only watching the movies, it takes the philosophical depth out of most of the scenes, makes it into sci-fi content for our audiences, and I do enjoy it, and I accept they had to do what was necessary to make this a worthy adaptation. I do like a lot of things in here, like the turn of Leto Atreides II. You have a lot of interesting elements I think really does good here. There's a few changes here that they make, but you have the filmmaking here. You have some great pacing great pacing for the most part. The first part and the second half being very interesting despite some rough pacing there. Competent cinematography, there's some great technical aspects. The production, costumes, such, all for a TV sci-fi miniseries before they changed the title of the channel, actually really is good. And they do try to have the heart and soul of the source material respected. Aside from a few changes, and the performances here by Alec Newman and Daniela Massavi, Alice Krieg, a very young James McAvoy, Julie Cox, the always beautiful, amazing Susan Sarandon. It makes it one of the better adaptations. Does it have its faults? Yes. But for a TV budgeted version of this, I think they did the best job they could to make this worth it. And while it's not something I will go back to of these adaptations, I very much can appreciate what this has to offer. And taking Children of Dune and Dune Messiah and make it into the best of both worlds. Third place, we got the Frank Herbert 2000s version. This is actually really entertaining here. Now, this was in the early stages of sci-fi, producing their low-budget stuff, interweaving their own niche audiences like Leslie Bohem and such, and Battlestar Galactica. This is the one that really put it on the map. They did try to go faithful in making it the best version possible here for a mini-series format. And despite some very questionable, iffy parts, and some soapy drama, and some fussy design around, and also some limitations of effects here. I actually really enjoyed it here. This captured exponentially the world of Frank Herbert to focus on the dramatic interplay of the narratives and not so much on the action war spectacle. And that's the thing I do really enjoy here. There are the themes of spiritual fanatics and such, in double layer of dangers of affable legends and myths here that doesn't belong in the cruel reality of facts here. I thought it was actually really good here. Some of the effects look PlayStation 2-esque, and some of the pacing is a little slow, and also some of the action in this sci-fi version is heavily frenetic, but I will say overall it is a lavishing version of a entertaining such. And it's part of me that's curious that what would of Alexandra Jodorowsky's Dune version would look like, but I really do enjoy the fact that they try to respect the source material with unmatched respect. And I say that to all of these Dune movies that I have seen. And so with that, I definitely really like the way this movie played out. I like the performances. I like the action. How it tries to have stuff that accomplishes from the books very well. And overall, it just did its job to entertain. John Harrison, his cast and crew, and the performances all really do good, and it does go into an inevitable tragedy, so I will definitely give credit to where credit is due. Does this have its usual limitations and some of the problems that I see when it comes to taking a well-known source material for making it for TV or animation? Absolutely. But I feel like there is enough execution in this that makes it all worthwhile. And the runner-up is going to be 2024's Dune Part 2, coming off the high heels of the first film, which some people actually who didn't like the first Dune movie, actually this made them watch this and be like, I enjoy that first movie way more now. And I think that's what it does very well. It stuck the landing after much anticipation from that 2021 film and being pushed back. This movie came out, it made great money, it is a great success. It is one of the best sci-fi films, one of the best fantasy films, and one of the best sequels here, and also one of the best movies of this decade, the more I thought about it. This is everything I could want, and it shows why I love fantasy and why it's my favorite genre and why it's sci-fi. Villeneuve and his great team does a great job at treating this like a secondary installment while also slowly giving us hints to what the next movie in the trilogy is going to be, and I find that fantastic. Everything is done significantly well with top tier filmmaking. The filmmaking here is definitely on a whole nother level. They stepped their game up. The story of this is just as strong or even stronger than the first one. The first one was set up, but this one really does do a great job at telling you you're gonna get exactly what you finna get. And I love that for it. It's such an amazing, solid film. And even stuff that, even with my only one watch of this movie, that I had issues with, I pick up more when I see the movie in clips or such. And for this 166-minute long runtime, some people will feel it. They do require you to rewatch, but when you rewatch, you just take a lot more enjoyment out of it. I definitely enjoyed this story of Paul having to rise up and be the leader. Also, what is going to eventually lead to in the next movie. Everything with Villeneuve and his writers, they just made this amazingly well.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. I think it's signed, sealed, and delivered, honey.
Yeah.
A few issues, yes, I wanted more of Léa Seydoux here, but I do think she'll play a big part in Dune Messiah. I also will say I thought Princess Irulan was okay. Florence is an okay actress. I'm very complicated with her. I feel like anyone else could have played that part, but I think she was decent enough. There's a few too many subtitles, but you know what? I've seen a lot of movies that take place in fantasy worlds like this, so I'm used to the subtitles. And also it helps us audiences understand what they're saying or what they're trying to get. Do I think there's a version he could have shot the subtitled moments in English? Yes, but Villeneuve wanted to treat this with so much love since he has so much passion for the world and the environment of Dune, even when he was younger. This is what his career has been building up to. But I think everyone else did really good here. The performances are great. Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Austin Butler, who I know some people like to harp on him, especially now that he's coming into his own. And I think he did fine here. Léa Seydoux was great. Christopher Walken. And for her small cameo, Anya Taylor-Joy as the sister, Alia Atreides. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with her. Editing was great despite a few slow motion. The action scenes are great. Hans Zimmer's score is fantastic. This is just great sci-fi cinema, and I can see this being a huge Oscar contender next year's Academy Awards. Timothée Chalamet, Denis Villeneuve, the production team, the sound mixing, the score. Maybe Rebecca Ferguson as a supporting actress. You never know. This is what I want in sci-fi film making. And I have a strong feeling Dune Messiah is going to stick the landing. If it sticks the landing, we're going to have a fantastic trilogy of Dune films from Denis Villeneuve. Give me more of this world of Dune. Dune Prophecy, I'm looking forward to it. But easily the best Dune movie is Dune 2021. I was one of those people, I was interested to see what this Dune was going to be like, but I was also someone who was going to doubt it because having seen the 1984 film, I was like, this is going to be a disaster. Villeneuve is not going to make this work. This is going to be kind of a train wreck here. Despite a few changes to the source material and taking liberties to make this work, I think this is the best interpretation of this book. Villeneuve did the impossible task with the phenomenal directing and cinematography and the production design, sound mixing, and the magnificent score. All of the technical aspects is the right ingredients. And for those who didn't love this on the first time, they would be like, hey, this is great. And when they watch both parts together, the angst, the atmosphere, the immersive nature into this world. This is the magic of sci-fi cinema, and it feels like you're watching a sci-fi Lord of the Rings. And Frank Herbert's book is so captured by Villeneuve in a way you just want to enjoy it. You're not just watching another movie, you're watching cinema be unleashed. And the fact that this came out in theaters at HBO Max and made so much money, it showed that the world of Dune can be crafted when you have the right people. Are there a few changes made for cinematic purposes? Yes, with Sharon Duncan Brewster playing the Lieutenant Kynes part. Does it feel like a setup movie? You damn right. But you know what? It's such a magnificent feat. Such the screenplay and the characters and the world build up. Everyone fits their parts perfectly. Even people who are not in this as much, like Zendaya and such. Everyone fits their parts well. Timothée Chalamet is a fantastic lead as Paul Atreides. I feel like he got it down pretty well. Rebecca Ferguson, what the hell else can I say about her in this?
I can't tell you.
This in Silo is living proof that I should never doubt this woman, and I almost do because sometimes it happens, but I will say she's fantastic. Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, David Dastmalchian, and Dave Bautista. Everyone. It creates a complex plot and world rather than a wholly creative work. And while some people may not love this as much as others, this is just great filmmaking is like on display. I'm very happy to have something like this and have this movie on 4K. Watch the movie on Blu-ray. It is amazing. The sound quality, everything you could want in sci-fi. I know some people will say this is a step down. I know some people don't love it as much, but you know what? If you're willing to watch this and just enjoy this, this is great. It's, some people will find it tedious, some people won't love it as much, but you know what? I just appreciate the fact that Villeneuve wanted to be as loyal as possible, and he wanted to make something good, and that is more important. And I think if he didn't have the passion for these movies, I would not be loving these newer Dune movies as much. This is what you want when it comes to something like this, and they nailed it. I really enjoyed this movie, and I will watch it definitely more times. This and Dune Part 2 will work together as a great double feature, and when we get Dune Messiah, it's gonna work as a fantastic fucking trilogy. Both of these movies, you speak in my language, and for me, Villeneuve's take on Dune is my personal favorite interpretation of this incredible world that even if I never choose to read the books, I want to explore more of this world. There's a lot more you could do, even after Dune Messiah with his kids. I'm interested. Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epitastic, join the epitasticness, and you guys keep it cool.